These are both skilled and experienced players. Banazama, notably a key part of the Season 5 strike team. He helps during development. These characters have now been out and active long enough that there's not considered to be a playtester advantage. They've been available in Tabletop Simulator for quite some time. They've also been in print, available for in-person play for quite some time. Calavontis, also a playtester, not part of the strike team, but fairly active. Both playing several of their Season 5 favorites. Alright, players are now revealing their first choices. Looks like we're going to have a Season 5 matchup. Let's switch over to the game. Alright, that's Banazama's Hazama. Banazama, you might say. And Calavontis' Arakune. Alright. Gonna try to keep a tight eye on game state here. They are running with timers, so it couldn't hurt to have a third person watching. Coin toss to decide who goes first. They are also going to want to set up their reference areas, yeah. Alright, that probably gives me enough time to update the side of the screen. Give or take. Alright, Hazama going first, Arakune going second. While they mulligan, let's take a look at these character abilities. Hazama's ability is that when he initiates a strike, after setting his attack, he may spend a force. If he does, he places an Ouroboros card in a space of range 1. Since I'm a spectator, I can't actually search cards, so you can't really see both Ourobori, but you can see one of them. One of them has on its reverse side that you move into its space, the other has that you do nothing. And you will set your Ouroboros secretly, so your opponent does not know which of the two you're using. So he creates a movement mix-up. It also, in a pinch, doubles as just force-efficient movement, where he can move in or out while striking by paying a force. It's kind of like a move 1 and strike, although he can't cross over with it. Arakune, well, it's a long story. Suffice to say that if he hits with specials and ultras, he builds overdrive even before he's in exceed mode. He'll then leverage that overdrive in order to play devastating payouts while his exceed mode remains active. Alright, turn 1 goes to Hazama. Boosting Serpent's Benediction. Now you may strike if you do. The opponent sets their card first. Force cost reduced by 1. Alright, so Arakune needs to set his attack, since Hazama is clearly choosing to strike. Alright, sets a Wild Swing. Hazama now choosing which Ouroboros to use. Yep. The force cost reduction, by the way, applies to the character ability, which means that he's going to just move in with the Ouroboros, plays a spike from hands, and Arakune Wild Swings that cross, backs out to range 5. That spike misses. Spike goes on top. Bana looking a little unused to the timers, since, strictly speaking, you would want to hit that reveal button to pause the timers during strike resolution. Also should have swapped the turn while his opponent was making decisions. Alright, we have Forbidden Knowledge, or as it is affectionately nicknamed, 5-Bidden Knowledge. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, seal 1 face down, add 1 to your gauge, add 1 to your overdrive, return the rest in any order. This has a lot of steps to it, but experienced Arakune players know what they're looking for. So basically, you take 5 cards and you put them all over the place. Sealed area face down, that's 1. Gauge, setting that aside without flipping it yet, but he'll flip it in due time. He's just making up his mind. And this is why, right? He might change his mind. Alright, so that's going to gauge, that's going to overdrive. Seal something else face down. And the last 2 will go back on top, which means he controls his inner turn draw, which is apparently only that card. He is now going to reveal the gauge and the overdrive card. Alright, pass his turn back to Hazama. Arakune's sealed area mostly serves to conceal what cards are available to him along through the filtering. That is correct, Kiribethian. He cannot play cards out of a sealed area. He has no ability to recur from a sealed area. The only way to get a card out of a sealed area is to take the reshuffle action and pick up his Astral. Alright, Hazama boosting Serpent's Redemption, your force cost reduced by 1, and now advance retreat 2. Chooses to advance to range 3. Forgets to pass timer. Arakune then preps passing turn back to Hazama. Yeah. Well, hopefully the game doesn't go to time, but we'll see. Alright, it's Bloody Fangs, now draw 1, then draw for a turn. After the opponent's done, draw 2. I typically recommend that folks play a couple practice matches if timers are part of the tournament rule set at all, just so they can get the hang of them. Tabletop Simulator is not easy to use in the best of days until you've played a lot of games in it. So if you're not versed in using the timers, it can add difficulty to it. Alright, so we have a set, and we now should be revealing. Hazama responds to the Wild Swing and gets a cross. That's really good for him. So permutation in our the so-called odds card hits ranges 1, 3, 5, and 7, depending on how much force is spent. Cross takes Hazama from range 3 to range 6. Alright, well, it's now Hazama's turn, since Arakune initiated that strike. No, I'm pretty sure he drew for end of turn, when he played Bloody Fangs, if that's what you're referring to. Unless I missed one. I could be wrong, but either way, both players have moved on. This is what we call accepted game state, right? Both players are making decisions based on the game state as it is, without stopping to confirm or double check. Should probably pass that turn. And if you both make decisions based on game state without stopping to verify, that means you have both accepted that the game state is what it is. Game state, by the way, is just a way of describing the way things are. We have the second copy of Forbidden Knowledge being boosted here. I call it 5-bidden, by the way, because you look at 5 cards when you're doing it. Choosing fairly quickly what he wants on top of deck after he draws, and what he wants in his overdrive. Probably going to collect a specific set of numbers. Arakune, due to the way his Exceed ability works, likes to line up not necessarily the rainbow, which is one of each normal, but one of each speed, with a few centralizing speeds. He really likes 3, 4, 5, and he often likes 7. He doesn't care that much about 0, 1, or 6. 2, it depends. Alright, revealing those, pass his turn back. If you're just joining now, you are still in time for the start of the first game. We are less than 5 minutes in. Arakune prep, passing it back, yep. So prep. Arakune player has clearly sounded out that he's a little more used to the timer than Hazama, so he is trying to play fast to exert that pressure. Alright, we have a Fierce and a Light. This is an asymmetrical boost war. That light is getting teched. Okay, turn comes back to Arakune. And gonna tech the Fierce. That is unusual. Now Arakune does have other answers to speed, but usually you will save your techs for your opponent's speed boosts at middle ranges. Since at range 2 and 3, speed boosts make Spike and Dive extremely relevant. So teching the Fierce is interesting. Yep, they are playing with timers. This is the so-called chess clocks version of timers, which are the standard for this tournament. Alright, going to boost, check out my snake. That's draw 3 and strike. Alright, Hazama is going to pay a force for the Ouroboros. Sets one of them into space at range 1. We don't know which. Sets the other aside. Here's the text of that Ouroboros, by the way. And then sets his attack. Strictly speaking, he would have set his attack first, but there isn't much difference. Like, both of those steps happen before anything else. In this tournament, timers are the default unless both players agree not to use them. In other words, as long as one person requests them, they are in use. Alright, the movement was a bluff, and it looks like we have a sweep coming in. That is an FFG Wild Swing. This would trade down, but Arakune might choose to keep it anyway, because this hit effect is very valuable. And he does, yep, he's going to hit for 3. And, yeah, so on hit, the top card of his discard goes to his overdrive, so he's deciding in what order he wants to discard his gauge, because he actually cares about discard order. That's per his character ability, by the way. Then he's going to perform this hit effect, choose up to 3 cards from your discard pile, add them to your overdrive, so he's going to stock his overdrive with 3 more cards, putting him at 6 cards in overdrive with 1 gauge, because that FFG is going to gauge at the end of the strike. He will then be discarding a card at random and taking 6 damage, by the way. since, you know, sweep. Hard to say who won this exchange. Getting hit by sweep is almost always bad, but landing FFG is phenomenal. Yep, 6 cards in overdrive, checks out. Takes 6, needs to discard a card at random. Shuffling the hand, let the opponent pull 1. Alright, loses an FP Spies. Well, that slightly lowers the value of those speed 2s in overdrive, since that is the only other speed 2 card in his deck besides sweep. Into the strike. Alright, Arakune initiating. Hazama now must respond. Defending with a speed 6 is going to beat that if P, or lose to that if P&Q. Excuse me, if P&Q beats this, yeah. So if P&Q has attacks with higher speed do not hit you. So Hazama responds above curve, which means he misses, and then if P&Q comes in, hits at range 1, which lets him at the top of his discard to his overdrive, even though he does no damage, by the way. This does have a range of 1, so even though the power is in A, meaning it cannot possibly deal damage, it hits, which is important for his character ability. He then chooses to add it to gauge as normal at the end of the strike, rather than using the after effect, which says you may add this to your overdrive. Alright, so Arakune's exceed cost is discounted by 1 per card in his overdrive. Right now he has 7 cards in his overdrive, which means his exceed cost is only 1. He can exceed whenever he wants, and we'll start to see him bug out, as you might say. Alright, another check out my stake. Gonna draw 3 and strike, excuse me. Hazama looking to get some damage in before the flip. Alright, so that's 1 card. Arakune Wild Swing. We're seeing pretty consistent Wild Swings here. That was supposed to be a reveal, not an end of strike. At any rate, the Wild Swing dive does beat the range 1 sweep. Arakune goes to range 3, both players miss. Very good for him. Yeah, notably, the Arakune player has been pretty consistently wild swinging, trying to play conservatively, allow his opponent to beat him up as much as he wants, trusting that his exceed will make the difference. Here we are. Pays 1 gauge to exceed, total of 8 cards in overdrive now. And he has when you exceed, draw 2 and strike, which I didn't zoom in on beforehand. Sorry, it's on the other side of the card. So you pay the gauge, you flip your character, then you perform your when you exceed effects. So we can't refer to it right now for whatever reason. First time you strike, your villain attack, discard a card from your overdrive. Discard a card's speed matches your revealed attack, then you get a bunch of stats. We'll probably see this play out momentarily. We have an EX attack coming in, Hazama needs to reply to it. The major threats are probably EX assaults. Yeah, probably EX assaults, honestly. We have a block coming in, yep, that's the EX assault. Going to discard a card with a printed speed of 5. Since he discarded a card from his overdrive, by the way, he will now perform his overdrive effect. Look at the top card of your deck, you may see it face down. He chose to discard the extra copy of Assault and then discard a card from his overdrive. They are both when you reveal your attack, which means that they are simultaneous time, and you can choose the order. He is still deciding whether or not to steal that. Hazama, being a little bit premature, is going to pay force. They should have stopped the timers when they revealed, by the way. This is, again, just a symptom of inexperience with using the timers. This is why I recommend people play a practice game beforehand. Oh well. Folks are fully aware that the way the timers were set up for this tournament is not optimal, and things will be different in the future. But for now, we work with what we got. Arakune initiating at range 1. Plays a Spike, discards copy. Yep. So Spike has minus 8 to your range, making its range 0 to 3. Also plus 2 power, plus 1 speed, so going to deal 7 damage. Yep. Alright, turn passes back to Hazama. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards left in overdrive. Yep, Hazama preps. Probably just going to try to hunker down and withstand the subsequent attacks. If that overdrive runs out, Arakune will become significantly less deadly. Now, he has dropped both copies of F of... Or is that true? No, he's dropped both copies of F inverse. I don't know if he's dropped both copies of F of G. A range 1 Spike with plus 2 power and plus 1 speed. Absolutely horrifying. Alright, at the start of his turn, he must discard a card from his overdrive, so he chose to discard a copy of If P&Q. Then he performs his overdrive effects, evidently choosing not to because earlier he chose not to steal it, so he already knows what's on top of his deck, he's just not bothering to check it again. Then he prepares, ending turn, passing back to Hazama. Hazama at range 1. Arakune, if nobody strikes, this is going to drain relatively slowly. But whenever a strike occurs, Arakune is going to be forced to discard one of these. making him burn out faster, in return for, of course, fantastic benefits. Alright, we have Having Fun Yet. Spin up to 5 force. Opponent may discard that many cards at random. Spinning 5 force. The opponent discards 5 cards at random. Then Hazama may strike. Discard order does potentially matter for Arakune. Not usually at this stage, but, you know. Alright, so there you go. Shuffle the hands, discard it. And then choosing not to strike, evidently. So, in a turn draw. Okay. They caught it. Alright, Arakune's Overdrive effect, looking at the top of his deck, he may choose to seal it. Looks like he is deciding. Okay, is setting that attack. Alright, that is a wild thing. Hazama needs to respond. Gets the Devouring Thing into a grasp. That is a force special, so he can choose to invalidate. And that is going to be a speed 8, power 5 grasp, by the way. Also potentially invalid. Again, should have paused the times during reveal. Okay, that is going to get stunned. Takes 5. Gets moved 1 space. Pull 1, yeah, with the grasp effect. Alright, it is now Hazama's turn. Hazama looking pretty beat down at this point. Probably considering reshuffling, and yep, we're seeing Arakune checking that discard pile. And Hazama checking Arakune's discard pile. Not sure exactly what's happening. Yeah, okay, that is the reshuffle action. Go ahead and pick up the Astral. Eternal Coils of the Dragon Serpent. Alright, Arakune's Overdrive effect looks at the top of his deck. Didn't even seem to look at it, actually, but maybe he did. I don't know, I wasn't watching. Alright, ooh, speed 3 match. That is a big deal. That is going to win the speed tie against Devouring Thing, so Devouring Thing is probably going to get invalidated. We'll see. We'll keep going and see if anything works. However, this is a phenomenal attack in Exceed mode. Alright, Assault is faster, does hit first, deals 3 damage. And then this attack, which has a range 0 to 7 and 7 power with 4 speed, is going to hit and force a random discard, catching that Astral. Oof. That card goes to the Overdrive per the effect on Permutation in R. Spider is a good attack. Well, there's actually 2 attacks that are referred to that way. I think this one is called Spiders, and the Ultra is just called Spider. Either way. Alright, Hazama changing cards. Getting fairly desperate. Arakune at the start of turn, Overdrive, looks at card from deck, decides not to seal it, evidently. Has flipped back. Left Exceed mode, but man, what value. Arakune looking to be in really good shape. Hazama essentially has to win every mix-up from here on out. Looks like Arakune is preparing. Note that he does not tip the hand. Many players will do that as a courtesy. However, Arakune has 2 cards in sealed area. So that last card in hand is not fully known. These could be, like, these 3 cards are theoretically known, but the card in hand is not. Pass turn back, and then we have Shadow Serpent, advance retreat 1 or 2 and draw 1, so move 1 or 2, draw 1. Gets boosted, taking Hazama to range 2, his favorite range. Arakune preps in response, back to Hazama, who preps as well. Turn comes back to Arakune. And prep again. Players both resetting their resources. We are in a fairly neutral state, and they both burned out a lot of resources. Arakune to get a tremendous life advantage. Hazama to just try to stay intact. Hazama boosting light. Turn comes back to Arakune. Five gauge is a lot. With just a couple turns, or a few specific plays, Arakune could actually maybe exceed a second time, which would almost certainly seal the deal. Looks like he's going to pay 1 force to advance to range 1. This running joke about range 1 is that it's where speed doesn't matter. It's true that it is where speed is less impactful among most card interactions. Hazama does have a range 1 ignore armor attack that does 6 damage, which makes it pretty scary against anything but sweep. That is Devouring Thing. I believe we've seen 1 copy drop in this shuffle, but not both. It is now Hazama's turn. It's worth noting that he might not actually be at range 1, right? If he decides to use the Ouroboros... Oh, he did not. Okay, he chose to retreat 2 spaces by taking move action. But yeah, using the Ouroboros, he could have backed up 1 space and struck if he was so inclined. So he evidently was not, though. Alright, Arakune trying to hold down this lead. Has a full hand of 7 cards. Not really likely to run out of cards before he can deal lethal. Overactive sealing can cause that, but it looks like he only sealed 2 cards this game, which is not a lot. Alright, Zero Vector. Name a card and strike. Name card is invalid for both players. After add this overdrive. Yep, so he's going to try to build some overdrive. Name something to be invalid. Now this is, of course, itself a mind game, right? You might name the thing you actually don't want your opponent to play, or you might just name something you want them to think you don't want them to play, but that you can... that you're willing to tolerate. Depends a lot on the situation. Either way, he definitely wants to get this after effect off. It looks like he's going to try to go for that second exceed to close the game. Still deciding what to call. Called something. No idea what. Either way, this does not probably spike actually. Yeah, because this does not get stunned. It takes 4 damage. Can't hit because of the effect on dive, but the after adds this to overdrive. So yeah, so I'm betting Arakune called spike just to avoid the risk of getting stunned out of that after effect. He certainly would have preferred to actually land the permutation in R though. All right, Hazama preps. Turn comes back to Arakune. Who preps as well? Both players at 7 again. Alright, going to retreat 1. Timer positioning is a little bit awkward. That's definitely my fault. I'll have to fix that. Alright, Arakune counting cards, this time on his own timer. Gotta be careful with that. Which is to say, you should be doing it on your own timer. You just gotta be careful to make sure that you are. Alright, now strike, hit, draw 1, add the overdrive. That's Spellbug. Lama Lana music. No, this is Kyle's theme. It goes with everything. It would go with Lama Lana, though. I'll tell you that. Alright, so hit, draw 1, add the overdrive. Again, looking to build a lot of gauge very fast. That one's a speed tie. Alright, cross going to hit, deal 3, and stun. Draws a card, adds a disjoint unit to overdrive, and now has a total of 7, 5 engaged, 2 in overdrive. Yeah, I think skipped the reveal timer pause, but moving pretty quickly at this point, because the game is pretty clearly almost over. Hazama boosting defend. Arakune looking to close the game. At range 5, Hazama actually has no valid threats, or no viable threats, excuse me. He has valid cards, of course. Now name a card and strike. Name card is invalid. After add the overdrive, again looking to build up to that last metric. Doesn't really matter what he names here because there's just nothing Hazama can actually hit with. He probably is naming some. Okay, he calls dive. Alright, so this is probably the other permutation in R, or man, I'm not sure what else it could be. Oh yeah, I guess F of G would make the most sense. Yeah, it's F of G. Yep. Alright, so that's going to deal no damage. Yep, pays 2 gauge. And as a hit effect, as a top of discard to overdrive, and then as another hit effect, chooses up to 3 cards from discard pile, adds them to overdrive. This is going to easily rocket him into the I can afford to exceed again. Whew. Terrifying. And that after effect attaches overdrive. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in overdrive, 4 engage. Our monster is prepared to be unleashed once more. It is Hazama's turn. That block went to gauge. He is running low on options of every flavor. That looks like a scoop. Might be a change cards. Yep. Scoop is a colloquial term for scooping up your cards off the table. So it is a fancy term for a concession. Or maybe not fancy. Less than fancy. Alright. So, yeah. Calling that like I see it, but I want to confirm. Okay, so game 1, Arakune takes it over Hazama. Switch to our interstitial as we wait for them to set up for the second game. Please enjoy Guile's theme in the meantime. Since Arakune was victorious, he will be eliminated, by the way. He moves on in victory, he retires. He's done. Calavontis is left with Umina and Litchi. Banazama still has the entirety of his team available for use. Players choosing their characters, resetting life totals, etc. Uh-oh. My system is lagging. Excuse me. Okay, I think I'm back. Yeah, I think we're good. Alright, looks like Banaz chose his character and Collar revealing his. Okay, here we go. We have Hazama and Umina. Wait. Yeah. Yeah, that's Hazama. What am I saying? Alright, let's switch back. And I will fill those names in. And I will try to make my overlay look a little less ugly. As I do. Alright. Hazama choosing to go first. We're now in the mulligan phase. Note that timers do not start until after mulligan. Take some time. Think about your game plan. We've already seen Hazama play. Let's take a quick look at Umina. Umina is a Season 2 character from 7th Cross. That means she uses transformations. At the bottom right of her character card, you will see an icon with a little -2 next to it. The minus is hard to see, but it's there. Trust me. It's there. That's an Ouroboros icon, ironically enough. That means that each transformation you have in play discounts your exceed cost by 2. Transformations are cards with permanent effects that you can get into play a couple different ways. But suffice to say, you can have only one of each transformation in your deck, and transforms mostly mean you are going to hit with the attack and then transform it instead of adding it to gauge. Kind of like a permanent upgrade to your character ability. Alright, looks like a mulligan 1 and a mulligan 5 respectively. Time to start. Hazama's up. Umina has a reputation as being maybe the character that is most widely agreed on to be a control character in Exceed. Exceed is both a fighting game and a card game, and control means different things to different people, especially considering that archetypes blur the lines between fighting and control. But, well, Umina is basically the character that nobody disagrees. Yeah, alright, that's what a control character looks like. Renea, Arakune, your mileage may vary. Everybody's got opinions. Treasure Knights, Chun-Li, some say, some disagree. Umina, yes. Alright, so we have an Ouroboros and it initiates. Alright, that is a move and a spike, which is going to miss. That Hollow Space comes in first, hits for 4, and then retreats 3 as an after effect. Note that Hollow Space is a passive that says attacks at range 1 do not hit you, meaning at range 1 it is occasionally just completely unbeatable. Hazama whiffing out completely, going to be pretty sad here. This is telegraphing Dark Thoughts. A very dangerous attack, one of the best projectiles at range 5. Certainly one of the best specials. Might choose to validate this Rising Fang just for the armor. Nope, invalidating. Hoping for something better. Should have paused the times at some point there. Okay, well he gains advantage for what it's worth. Nothing, it's worth nothing. Then you take 6, discards a card at random, which is then placed in Umina's overdrive area. Noticing a theme between these last two characters? Stealing cards to put in your extra area? Oh, right. Did I say overdrive? Excuse me. That's flashbacks to Arakune. This is not an overdrive. This is a Dreamlands. Very different mechanic. Alright. Instantly, Dark Thoughts did get transformed, then Venom Sword was boosted to take Hazama to range 3, then Fierce was boosted. I'm just keeping up with game state. Hazama preps, turn comes back to Umina, whom I'm occasionally going to call Arakune by accident, just because there are some similarities here that I can't avoid. She is an Eldritch Horror. Double Fierce, oh man, she is expressing some serious confidence whenever she's about to throw. She does have a Stun Immune Assault on tap, by the way, due to the text of this Dreamlands. She may strike with this card, that is to say the Assault, and if she strikes with it or a copy of it, she has Stun Immunity. Okay, Hazama looking like he's going to make Umina discard that hand. Discards 4 cards at random, And we saw a Shadow Course drop, which means that, yeah, there was a Stunning Moon Assault from hand being threatened, since when Shadow Course is revealed, it becomes a copy of the card in Dreamlands. And then, does Hazama strike? Nope, decides not to. By the way, if you're wondering why that Force expenditure didn't match, it's because this boost discounts Hazama's Force cost, so he paid 3 Force, except he actually paid 4. Alright, so we then have preps going back and forth. Alright, Hazama going to draw 3 and strike. Probably going to try to... oh! What the... That was a card that just went into discard from deck. Well... one second. Not that. I'm just checking to make sure that it's not a card in that discard pile that shouldn't be there, since I'm fairly sure I saw him pick up an extra card from deck on the way. Yeah. Alright. Please hold. Alright, sorry about that. There was a minor TTS glitch which resulted in Hazama accidentally discarding a card from his deck into his discard pile. I explained the situation and they have rectified it. And no, do not rewind in Tabletop Sim. Well, not in tournament play anyway. Yeah. If you do so, you will get a warning afterwards that says, hey, resuming from save, which is what rewind... I should probably rephrase that anyway. Is rewinding is functionally a resuming from an autosave. Is not supported. Okay, so Hazama using Ouroboros, going to range 2. Oh my goodness. Banking on Umina not playing that assault, but he guesses wrong. He played a Devouring Fang and gets hit by an 8-power assault. Whew. Heavy punish there. Alright. Umina preps, turn comes back to Hazama. Losing the mix-ups fairly hard here. Umina now at range 1. By the way, that assault, you'll note, is Hazama's assault, but it did go to her gauge. That is legal. There's a handful of areas your opponent cards cannot enter, notably your deck, your discard pile, and your hands. But special areas such as your gauge, your overdrive area, your boost area, your strike area, these are legal. You cannot transform opponent cards, but that is separate from whether or not opponent cards can enter your transformation area, because transformation area is considered a separate area. Weird rules change. Please enjoy. Alright, Hazama initiated with 1 card. Oh man, again, going for the mid-speed mix-up, gets called out, gets hits by the faster defending option. Terra Whispers hitting at speed 7, hits for 2 and stuns, puts a card from his card into Dreamlands, gives him access to Hollow Space, which he can now threaten at his leisure. Whew. Her leisure, excuse me. I try to make a habit of referring to the character. Bruce referring to the player by accident. Alright. So yes, it is her turn. Alright. And an initiative sweep. Oh my goodness. Gets called out by the defending dive at range 1. Whew. Umina calling every mix-up. That looks like a scoop. Yep. That's it. Alright. Doo-doo-doo. Whew. That is Umina taking it. And wow, that was impressive. Alright. Going to switch back to that screen. And hop into voice to chat with the players for just a minute.
Yeah, that's right.
Every single read. Howdy, folks. What a series of punishes. That was painful to watch, but well played. But yeah, like the assault into the devouring thing, then the terror whispers into the dive, then the dive into the sweep. It's like brutal.
Yeah. So when he initiated with when I had assault in Dreamland. And
I'm impressed you called that, right? Like anyone would be like, well, this has got to be cross, right? No one's going to just walk into a +4 power Sun Immune assault. But you called it. It was a fearless play, and you called it correctly. I respect that play, Bana. By the way, not many players would be fearless enough to do that.
Whew. Yeah, I was surprised that you would move in. I was like, okay, so this is almost like certainly a cross.
Well, you move in to threaten so that the cross is what's being threatened.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you move into range 2, cross is the only thing that does not that wins, because otherwise everything else. Because I thought he would step back to range 4, and then either do a dive or venomous sword, because then I can't just spam the assault. But he instead chose to move in, so oh wow, so that this is he's upping the antes, right? That's kind of how I was thinking.
I mean, fair. It is a very heavy telegraph, but it's a pretty clear telegraph, and I don't see anything wrong with just saying, hey, look, I'm very obviously playing cross, so you should act like I'm playing cross and not play that assault.
Turn 1 was turn 1 and turn 2 was pretty bad, because the hollow space not only dodged it but moved to range 5, which is Umina super favorite range in this matchup. That was just the ideal opening for me. And then I just pressed the Dark Thoughts, and if he didn't have cross, he wouldn't have played it. Yeah, I also kind of didn't feel like it was cross, because I feel like he would have used it at some point by that point, either moving in or something else. So I feel like it probably it was a decent probability that I could just.
Well, I moved in with Venom Sword, so.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Either way, solid play. It's brutal to watch a game like that, but I can't complain about the play on either side. You both made good plays. Something I like to point out is that if you get hard red like that, it usually means you're making good plays and your opponent is predicting them because they're good plays. It's every step of the way, sensible mix-ups being played. First game solid too. This was a blast to watch. Thank you all for letting me stream. Feel free to make any other remarks you'd like to the people watching. I don't know if you have anything to say.
Shout out to all my sponsors.
Why did I give you that opportunity? All right, we're shutting this down. Sorry.
Get flip coins better.
There you go. Yeah, flip coins better. That's the fighting game way. All right. Well, thank y'all both. Hope you had a good time, and hope everybody watching enjoyed. I'm gonna close this down.
Thanks, D.
All right. Well, as you just heard me say, that was the sets. It took about 40 minutes. Not quite an hour, but you know what? Couldn't hurt to drink more water. Stay hydrated, my friends. It's good for you. Until next time. Bye.